one most important lesson you must learn in life. Hi, welcome to this new video at Wisdom for Dominion. I am Bodas Djoumessi. Have you ever lost your job or anything and wished it was someone else who lost theirs? Or have you ever lost a loved one and wished it was someone else who lost their loved one? Or have you ever run to a scene and heard that many people have lost things, and then you celebrated because you were not one of those who lost their loved ones, maybe to an accident? Have you ever seen someone very successful and you wish you were the one who was that successful? Or you saw someone's children doing excellently well at school and you wish they were your children doing that good? Have you ever been sick and you saw people walking up and down so healthy and you regretted and were angry why it was you who had to be sick? Have you ever felt so much desperation that you asked God, why me? Why me? So like to say, why not someone else? Have you ever felt good that the good things were happening to you and not to others, and felt bad that the bad things were happening to you and not to others? Well, you may say that's the natural human selfish instinct. Well, if that be it, then that's your problem and that's my problem. The one most important lesson I need you to learn in life is that your neighbor's problem is your problem, and vice versa. Your problem is your neighbor's problem. There is the famous African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child, because it's not just the child of the parents who put that child to birth or brought them into the world, but it's the child of the entire village, because whatsoever actions that child takes or doesn't just affect the child and their family, but has a potential to affect the entire village. So when we think that our neighbor's problem is not our problem, is not going to affect us, then we are thinking in a very short-sighted manner. And that's one of the biggest problems that is weighing down on the world today. We hear of a crisis and we don't feel concerned because none of our family members or close friends are there. But what about the people that are there? I mean, we are all one family, we are all one people, one race, and we all came down from the same ancestors. So to think because you don't know this person by name or where they are coming from, they are not your brother or your sister, and so whatever happens to them is not your problem, is to think in a very mediocre way. A wise man once said that the children you fail to educate today will become the greatest problems of your children tomorrow. The children you fail to educate today will become the greatest menace and problem for your children tomorrow. So don't be contented and satisfied that your kids are going to school. What about the neighbor's kids? They are not your kids, but those are the same children or people that will be in the society when your children are grown up. And if they don't get an education, what happens? They tend to violence, they tend to criminality, and they'll be the same ones to come and rob your children, rape, and even murder them. So you can never say they are not your children, they are not your problem. Oh yes, they are. A classic example of this is if you've watched the 2002 Spider-Man movie. Then early on in the movie, you see the scene where Spider-Man refuses to stop a burglar because he's mad at the wrestling manager who refused to pay him all the money due him. And he says he fails to see how that's his problem. But a few minutes after, that burglar shoots his uncle, Uncle Ben, in the street, who probably was trying to stop him too. Then at that point, despite his prejudice, despite his disagreement with the manager, he realized that the problem was indeed his problem. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. Now the big question is, do you have any idea of how many problems you created for yourself by not solving your neighbor's problem? probably because you thought it was your neighbor's problem, but somehow it goes round and it falls back on you. Maybe not you, maybe your loved ones, maybe your children. The point is, we are all connected. The people the boss is blindly laying off just so that he can increase his profits and financial margins will be the same people who may fall into the wrong places and end up robbing or even murdering the same person. So, if we want to make a better world for ourselves, it's very simple. Let's make a better world for our neighbors. I really like to say that enmity is for the mediocre in mind. It takes a very, very mediocre mindset to live with someone or see someone as an enemy because they are different from you. Maybe from a different family, a different color, a different region, a different place. That word different, and those who see it are those of a very mediocre mindset. Let me show you. Have you ever been in a foreign country and you don't know anybody in that place, and then you just meet someone who happens to be speaking the language of your country or of where you're coming from? Automatically you feel attracted to them. You guys feel drawn together and you actually bond as though you are members of the same family. Why? Because in that bigger scope, it doesn't really matter where they are from in the smaller scope where you were. So the neighbor you're not talking to today, the day you find yourself in some strange place and you know no one else to bond with, they will actually become your best friend. So you see that looking at people differently, looking at people with superiority complex because they come from a different region, is actually because you're thinking very small at the area where you are. The moment we expand from your quarter, we expand from your state, and we expand from your country, we expand to the world, you realize that there are really no boundaries. There are really no differences. We are only one big family, and let's love one another and serve one another and sacrifice for one another like it. I'd like to conclude with this African proverb: when your neighbor's house is burning, pick up a bucket. Not even for them, but for yourself. Put out their fire for yourself. Because when the fire leaves and consumes the neighbor's house, whose house do you think it will come to next? Oh yes, that's your house. So even if you don't like your neighbor, even if you're not in speaking terms with your neighbor, once there is a fire in their house, you have to pick up a bucket. Not for them, for you. I hope you realize that. So from now on, let's try to practice to feed someone for ourselves. Can you just feed someone today for yourself? Can you send someone's child to school for your own children? Can you bless someone not even for them but for yourself? Because it's not really about what you're doing to them. It's about canceling the problem before it finishes with them and gets on you. Even God says He doesn't bless us because we are good or righteous, but He blesses us for Himself, for His name's sake. And that's why Christ died for you and for me. Our salvation is not because He was doing it for Himself. He was already righteous, He was already holy, but He is doing this for us. So, can you do something great to someone today and tomorrow? Not for them even, but just for yourself and for your future generation. Remember, what's the lesson? Your neighbor's problem is your problem. Everyone's problem is your problem. So it doesn't matter whose loved one died, the consequences will still ripple through the world and get to every one of us. Because like the members of one body, if the leg is in pain, it's not only the leg that feels the pain, the whole body is in turmoil because of that pain. So let's recognize that and wipe the brainwashing of boundaries and separations and differences that have been placed in our minds. So I know you can do this because you're a wise dominator. Act like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'd like to take this time to thank our patrons. Thank you so much for your love, your support, your prayers, and it's your support that helps us do what we do. We are really grateful. And if you'd like to become a Patreon of Wisdom for Dominion to support us monthly, please check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with someone, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please, I'd like to hear what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in our next video.